Hi, everyone. This is Mark with the Daily Hustle Show, and today we're going to be talking about our recent success and sales tip, and that's understanding that the brain doesn't really have much of concept of time. Now, this is extremely important because when you're dealing with anybody that you come across in life, it does not have to be professional. It can be, a friend of yours. It can be a family member. Okay, understanding the fact that the brain literally has zero concept of time, it's really going to help. It's going to help your conversation. It's going to help you understand, okay? And it's going to help you understand a lot of components to conversations, whether it's understand the person that you're talking to, understanding the subject line, and understanding the end result. Understanding that the brain does not have a concept of time. So, in regular life, okay, we do this a lot, right? How many times do we think back when we hear a song, right? They say it's nostalgic, right? You hear a song, you smell something, you see something, and immediately your brain goes back to a memory that it associates that smell, that sight, that song, it associates it with, right? It goes back to it. We all do it. Sometimes I'll smell certain foods and I'll think of my grandparents' house. Okay, certain foods will remind me of one like my mother's side of my grandparents. The other food smell will remind me of my father's side. Grandparents. There's certain songs that help me think about when I was younger. There were songs that I heard that reminded me of a prior, job that I had or time of my life, right? How many times we've been listening to a song, we're like, oh my God, this song was playing at this place. So there's a song, and I know we've mainly all heard it. It's the It's My Party song, It's My Party, and I'll Cry If I Want To. So my second cousin, I want to say it was her communion, I want to say, and that song played, and this was like her favorite song, or maybe her mother's favorite song, my aunt's favorite song. I don't know whose favorite song it was, however it played, and every time that song plays, my brain goes back to that communion. And it could have been even like a christening for all I know, but either way, it goes back years ago, because she's like maybe 25 or 6 or something now, so it's a long time ago. So the point is that song brought me back, okay? Another thing, direct example, is a certain smell. So there's certain perfumes that I'll smell, and they're usually of like older people. If I'm talking to an older individual and I can smell that perfume or that cologne, I immediately think of my grandparents or my aunt, my great aunt, okay? And God rest her soul, she's passed on years and years ago. However, that smell always brings it back. Also, names, right? Words, okay? That great aunt had a cat, okay? And the name of that cat, okay, is what always reminds me of that cat whenever I think of that name. If that name is for a child now, or I see it on TV, I think of that cat, And my mother had a dog growing up, okay? And it was a little like Pomeranian dog, and his name was Chippy. And she used to say Chipaloo. They're Italian. They always added a vowel to everything, right? So my daughter at the time had a bunny that she named Chippy. And I'm pretty sure she names like one of her like stuffed animals Chippy as well. Every time she said the name Chippy, I immediately thought back of my mother's Pomeranian dog. Now, the reason why I would think that, even though it had nothing to do with me particularly because it wasn't my dog, it reminded me of a memory. So what does this all mean? This is clear and evident proof that the brain has zero concept of time, because the brain only focuses on what you want it to focus on. Does that make sense? So if your brain says, I want to get the new iPhone, and then you start to think of the newer iPhone, whatever it is now, like 14 Max, whatever it might be, you might think of that and say, the brain thinks you're looking at it right now. So if I think back of the newest iPhone, right? Or even if I think of the iPhone 8, 9, 10 years ago, your brain thinks it's happening right now. That memory, they think it's happening at that exact moment. That's what your brain thinks is happening. So how is this beneficial? Well, let's say you're having a discussion with a family member or a friend, a spouse or something like that. And let's say it's a heated discussion. Let's say you're not agreeing on something. What I will typically say or use as not a tactic, but a way of understanding the other person or other people is I will bring their brain into the past of where the discussion originated from. Okay, so let's say you're having a heated discussion with somebody because maybe they're telling you that we all love Tom Brady here in Massachusetts. So let's say, oh yeah, Tom Brady in that Super Bowl game against the Atlanta Falcons, he did this. Well, the other person you're talking to does not agree with you. So now what I would say is, okay, think back to the third quarter. Remember when they came out, they had a lot more energy. Remember they were very excited. You could almost sense that something was going to happen. You remember that in the third quarter when they came out just like bulldozing through, the locker room, just coming out, just ready to play. So what I did was I took that person's brain and brought them back to a memory. So now the brain thinks it's happening right now, and that makes it more effective. That allows the brain to understand and comprehend that memory so much better. We're putting them into that situation. Okay? Same thing. If you're talking to your spouse or you're talking to a family member and you're saying things like, hey, what do you want for dinner tonight? Oh, well, let's do steak. Well, we did steak last week. Did we? Well, Monday we had pork. Tuesday we had fish. Wednesday we had chicken. Thursday we had salad. Friday we had chicken again. Saturday we went out for dinner and got Italian. And Sunday we got pizza. And here we are Monday again. I don't think we had steak last week. So now your brain is thinking multiple pieces at once, right? However, every time you give an item, right, pizza, the fish, the chicken, the salad, the brain is thinking of that dinner. The brain is thinking of that chicken. So if I say to you, think of a chicken, you immediately either think of a live chicken, or cooked chicken, right? But you're thinking of chicken, right? So that's the power of the brain. The brain can literally think at the moment that you want it to think of, it can think of whatever you want. Okay, so that's why it's very strategic to use in conversations. Okay, you can use it to your advantage and it can be used as a disadvantage. Okay, so if someone says to me, I don't know, I've used this example before, 2 plus 2 is 4, and I say, no, 2 plus 2 is 5, I can now think back of when I was in, first or second grade, whenever that was taught to me, and I can think back of that teacher writing it on the wall. And I'm like, no, it said 2 plus 2 is 4. But then you start to overthink it. And then your unconscious mind is trying to protect you. And now you're starting to say, well, wait a minute. No, maybe it does equal 5. Well, maybe they were saying, minus 3 and minus 2. Isn't that equal like minus 5? Or you know what I'm saying? So now you're all over the place. So it can be a disadvantage if you overthink it. Okay? Now, typically, are we going to be overthinking? Yes, human beings like to overthink things. However, they usually overthink because they're looking for a way to protect themselves. Okay. Now, how do we use this in a professional setting? Well, everyone says pain points. Target the pain points. Target the problems. Okay. So what I always do is I think of the 3 Ps. And these 3 Ps is something that I've developed in my own kind of, my own doings. Okay. 1 is pain. The next is product. And the next is problem. Pain and problem are 2 different things. Okay, it is. Especially if you're talking about, if you're talking to a consumer about a specific problem, they may say to you, oh, my inventory is always low. It always takes so long to get new inventory. We put in the inventory. It doesn't show up for 2 weeks. Then we have clients trying to come in and try to buy the product. We don't have it. We got to put it on order, and then this all happens. So you see where the pain and the problem are technically 2 different things. The problem is the fact the inventory system doesn't work properly. The pain is the consistent pain, right? It's something that's happening every single day. So now what we do in the professional setting is say something along the lines of, at least this is what I do, and this is what I help my team do, is tell me more about what happens when the inventory order is put on hold. So now what I'm doing is telling this individual or individuals, I'm telling them to go into their brain, go into their stored memory, and think back of a time or times when this pain is bad. They'll now tell you, oh man, what will happen is people will come through the door, they'll ask for this product, we don't have it, then we risk them going somewhere else, and when they go somewhere else, we're losing the business. We potentially could be losing the business forever because we seem unreliable, right? We seem like we're unprofessional because there's nothing we can do. We put the order in, we tell them the order is in, we try to collect a deposit, but we can't get the product for 2 weeks. These people want the product tomorrow. Okay, so then we're really screwed. So now their brain is thinking about specific situations. That's why they're giving you the information. They're giving you the information based on those memories. Okay? Now, someone like me, I'm not just going to let all that information that I just gave you go. I'm going to say, okay, so what you're telling me, so I understand it and I have my notes correct here, is the inventory system is kind of lagging. You'll put in the order. It'll take a couple of weeks to come in. In that lull of 2 weeks, you have clients that walk through that door, make that phone call, email you looking for the product. They don't get it, and then they go somewhere else, and then you're potentially losing future business. I just want to make sure that I understand you correct. So what I did was reiterate to them again for the second time about their specific pain. Okay, I'm not trying to hurt them. I'm not trying to make them miserable. I'm not trying to make them cry. Okay, I'm trying to understand them, but keep it in the pain sense. Okay, now they told me all that, and then I go into, in your experience, how much business are you really losing in that 2-week time frame? That in that lull. You mentioned that customers come in, they can't get what they need, they potentially go elsewhere. In your experience, how much in revenue are you potentially losing? If we had to do 8,000 per client, how many clients are we losing? How much revenue are we losing? So again, I'm making them go into their brain, to their stored memory, trying to get that information out, because there's a very good chance if they're a successful company, they know what they're losing. They know what they're gaining and they know what they're losing. Now they're telling me we lose in that 2-week frame, maybe about 10 clients. Each client's anywhere between $8,000 and $10,000, so we're losing about 10 clients. All right, so the average of 8 and 10 is 9. So you're telling me out of 10 clients, we're losing about $90K in that 2 weeks. Yes, still not done. Do you see how I've reiterated that? So we're at like 4 or 5 times that we're talking about the same pain, right? Remember, the problem is the lagging of inventory. But that's not a pain. That's the problem. Now we're talking about the pain of it, okay? So the next thing I would say, and this is like other shows we've done with deeper level questioning, so now I'd say, okay, so now how many times does this happen? How many times are you putting in these orders and then it's lagging, okay? And these are real life examples. It's saying maybe 4, maybe 5, maybe 6 times at the absolute most a year, but I'd say the absolute minimum is 4, the max is 6. So I go with an average. I go, okay, so 5 times on average a year that this is happening, and you already said it's about $9K on average per client. They say yes. I go, and we're talking about 10 clients a month that we're, in that 2-week time frame that we're losing? Yes. So we're talking $90,000 per lag. So every 2 weeks of lag, we're talking about $90,000. They're like, yes. And you just told me it happens on average about 5 times a year. So now you're taking 90 and multiplying it by 5. Okay? $450,000, if my math is good. I think it's pretty good, so I think that's right. So $450K, we're talking about almost $500,000. And at times it might even be more than that, right? Because we did everything based on an average. And yes, it could be lower than that. But I'm going to say at times it might even be higher than that. Am I correct? And they'll say, yes. I'm like, so you're telling me you guys are losing almost $500,000 a year on this lagging inventory system that you guys currently use? Say, yeah. I'm like, wow, that's a lot of money. And I'll chuckle because I want them to know that I'm human. So see how many times I went into that pain? But what I'm doing is making their brain go back in time to think about, oh my God, when we did the books last year, we did the books halfway through Q2, we realized we're down $285,000 just by the lagging of the inventory system that we use. Okay? Now I'm bringing them back and forth to their pain times, and I'm helping them understand it, and I'm explaining it in a way so I can understand. Now I have everything written down. Okay? At this point, I've kind of beat them down enough, right? I don't really need to continue. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll read through everything and say, before we move on, I want to make sure I have everything here. Please tell me if I missed anything, and if we're good, I'm going to move on to the next segment. And I'll read everything that I have. 99 times out of 100, they'll be like, yeah, that's everything. I'm like, all right, look. I think we know what the issue is, and I think we know how costly this is for the company and how beneficial it would be to provide a solution. Okay, but I don't think we're there yet. I don't feel comfortable giving you guys these solutions yet. I need to know one more thing. And they'll say, okay, shoot, right? My next thing would be a rapport building skill, which would be, what have you guys been doing to solve this problem? Because you told me this has been going on for a few years. What have you guys been doing to solve this problem? Because it looks like you've continuously been losing money on this. Again, pain. However, we're also talking about problems now. So you see how the pain and the problem go back and forth, they go hand in hand. I'm asking them for another problem, right? And they'll usually say, oh, time gets away from us, or we've had a couple of other companies in here and they're just way out of our budget. So we just end up just kind of sticking with it. And then I go into technical skill of, well, if you're talking about being over budget, is it over $450,000 a year? Because 99 times out of 100, they're going to say, no, it's a lot less than that. I go, Seems like a no-brainer to me. Even if they're charging you $200,000 a year, you're now saving $450,000. You're netting $250K. You're netting $250,000 by using XYZ company. So help me understand why you guys haven't done it. So now you're understanding them and their buying patterns and why they haven't done it. Now I'm wondering, do I have to qualify them a little further? Are they doing what they've done to other companies where they just kind of waste their time and ask all these questions to get the information because they haven't really done anything and they've been dealing with the same issues for a long, long time? Guys, the moral of this show is to show you guys that the brain does not have a concept of time. If you tell a client or clients to think back or bring in that pain point or that problem point, your brain thinks it's happening right now. That's why the emotions get high. That's why you might see them get a little flustered, because their brain is thinking about it right that second. Okay? Now, I gave you guys the 3 Ps, the pain, the problem, and the product. And we discussed 2 of them, right? The pain and the problem. We're going to talk quickly about the product. The product is the solution. That's the 3rd P. It's the solution. Okay, what products is going to be in line with this company that you're dealing with, okay, or this individual that you're dealing with. Again, it doesn't have to be financial, right? It could be, well, this product could be a solution, right? It could be, well, you know what, then let's have steak for dinner, or we haven't had steak in a couple of weeks. They know that they were incorrect on their timeline. Let's just do what they want. Let's just kind of compromise with them. We'll have steak tomorrow night. We'll have, whatever, something else tonight. So if you're dealing in the professional sense, you're able to now give them the product, give them the solution. You have to understand the pain. You have to understand the problem. And then once you understand all that, if you notice through the examples that I gave you, I really narrowed it down, had them reiterate to themselves and to me that this was a problem and this is what I'm going through. This is the pain that I'm going through. After I have all that and I say, I just want to make sure I give you the right information, I have everything labeled. I talk to them. I confirm it with them with clear communication. Then we start making our way into the product or the solutions for that individual or that company. Okay, so remember, the brain does not have any concept of time. Try this. If you're in B2C sales, this works wonderfully, because in the B2C world, whether you're selling windows or plumbing or roofing or real estate, stuff like that, you can ask your clients directly in front of you, tell me a little bit about this. Oh, well, the windows are really drafty. Okay, when you say drafty, what time of year? Oh, always in the wintertime. Okay, are you talking like January, February, the cold months? Yeah, absolutely. Okay, now what does this draft look like? Is it someone's going to wear a hoodie next to the windows? Do you guys have to put plastic up or tape up? You're making their brain think of that pain, right? And they already know what the problem is, the windows. You want to bring them back into that pain. Once you have enough, again, you don't want to beat them over the head with it. But once you have enough information, you want to make sure you go over and have them confirm the information that you have. And at that point, once you've confirmed it, that is when and only when the products and the solutions are now given to the client. This is Mark with the Daily Hustle Show. Please like, subscribe, check out our Instagram, like some stuff on there as well, comment on some stuff, send us messages. We answer them all the time. TikTok is exploding right now with all these daily success tips and daily sales tips. And as we say this all the time, all of our videos that we do on YouTube are correlated to those daily success and daily sales tips on TikTok and the other social media platforms. Thank you guys again. And for the next show, see ya.